Well, one of the most important things for any personal development, whether it be business or health or even faith, is accountability. That's something that we all need if we're actually going to accomplish something. And sometimes being accountable to ourselves is just too difficult. We may come up with more excuses. We may just not be as motivated. And research has shown a great deal about the power of having an accountability partner. So, Coach and I here are talking about accountability this month with our solo episode on the Limitless Leadership Lounge. And, Coach, I think it's a powerful concept. And you being in coaching and now in speaking have a lot of knowledge about accountability. So, let's talk about the importance of having an accountability partner.
Yeah, as you mentioned, I think the famous thing is in building some confidence with yourself is making and keeping promises with
Yes.
yourself, which you know what I can say for myself, and I'm sure there's many that'll be along with me that I've broken promises with myself.
Yeah.
So, but it's often that people will do more when they know they are accountable to someone else. And that's something I try to build with our trust plan with our players. But interesting, John, that is something that I've never had an organized accountability partner until my young friend John Goehring and I talked about it. And we've been doing it for quite a while now. We do a weekly call, and I think it's been extremely beneficial. Um, and I can tell you the one thing from me is that because we set some goals, we're going to talk about our process in a little bit, is that I often think about, oh, I got my call in 2 days with John. I got to make sure that I stay in track of my weekly goals. And so I think when you really put it another step where you're trying to be accountable to someone that's going to make you accountable, I think it's really a powerful concept. So I truly recommend that you start to strongly, if you don't have an accountability partner, to get one, which leads us into John's thoughts is, John, speaking of that, give us your thoughts on picking the right person to be your accountability partner.
Well, I have an acronym for that. I think finding an accountability partner is so important. And what you have to do when you're looking for an accountability partner is you have to act. ACT. Three things you want to look for in an accountability partner. Number one is alignment. That's so important. Coach and I, have a lot of alignment. We both care about our health. We both care about our business. We both care about our faith and family. Aligning yourself with somebody who has some of the same values as you is so important. That doesn't mean that you have to be exactly the same and have the same exact goals. Coach and I are at different stages of life. We have different goals, but at the same time, we do have alignment as far as what's important to us. And being accountable with somebody who has that alignment is so important. Because imagine being an accountability partner with somebody who maybe values, going out and having a lot of fun on Saturday nights and drinking a lot and doing all these things that Coach and I don't really stand for as much. That's not gonna mesh very well with your accountability partner. So find somebody you're in alignment with. The C in ACT is commitment. Find somebody who's willing to commit to, because so many times I think it's a kind of a trendy thing now to have an accountability partner, right? But so many times you say, "Hey, will you be my accountability partner?" And sure, it sounds like a great idea, right? Until you see that, there's a weekly call involved. You want to check in, you want to be consistent, which could be another C, right? And committed. You really want to be committed, and that's really when accountability works, is when you do check in every single week and you're committed. And finally, the T is trust. So important in so many different ways. In fact, I just finished David Horsiger, one of our guests' great books called Trust Matters, where he talks about how trust really is the currency of the world. And trust is so important in an accountability partner, especially because you have to trust not only that your accountability partner will be there for you and answer the phone when you are scheduled to call and those kinds of things, but that they will be willing to give you the accountability, the difficult accountability when it matters. That they'll be able to kind of put your feet to the fire, so to speak, and say, challenge you, not insult you, not be nasty about it, but challenge you, because that's what a good accountability partner does, and that's when growth occurs. So again, remember, if you're looking for an accountability partner, think of the acronym ACT. We're looking for alignment, we're looking for commitment, and we're looking for trust.
Wow, John, very impressive. I love the act.
Thank you.
That was really good. You got me thinking. So with that, John said, and we're going to take you through a little bit of our agenda. And there's no right or wrong, but I will say that one of the things is being consistent. And so the first thing before we take you through a little bit of how we do an accountability call is it's got to be scheduled. And John and I normally do our accountability calls on Thursdays. Life happens, so we have made some adjustments, but we've done some type of accountability. A few times it's been a text, but I'd say 90% of the, probably 95% of them have been scheduled calls, and we respect each other. We always call each other pretty much on time, and we allot. Sometimes it's a shorter period and we'll let everybody, each other know, but often we'll talk for 30 to 45 minutes. And we become very close friends. So we do a little bit of catch up and building a relationship. What John talked about trust. So the first thing just to start with is when we talk is we just find out what's going on in each other's lives. So we talk a little bit, John, what's going on? How's your wife Rachel? How's your health? How is business going? Just kind of some general things as we're building our relationship, and trust is such an important thing. So that's how we like to start, because we have become good friends and we want to help each other the best we can. So getting to know each other and building a relationship is how we start. Then the second thing is, and then I'll turn it over to John for a couple of his insights, is I usually have an agenda, and John does too, but I'll run by some things that because we do some things together besides just our accountability call. We will play tennis, although in our neck of the woods, our weather has not been very cooperative recently. So John and I haven't played any outdoor tennis, but we also talk about future podcasts that are coming up when we schedule guests. And we like I'm going to speak to John's class coming up, and so just different things and going through the agenda from there. And then from there, John, go ahead.
Well, it's really you got the call off to a good start, and I want to reiterate the importance of getting to know one another and building that trust, right? Ideally, you have a relationship already with your accountability partner. You know who they are and you trust them a bit, and you continue that relationship. It doesn't have to be a very structured, like let's stick to, point number one first. And I think there's a natural flowing conversation, but your accountability call after, getting some of those things aside is usually doing some sort of activity. For us, it's the random word exercise that we like to do. Some activity that can sharpen a skill. And we love the random word exercise. I don't want to get off to a huge tangent on that, but we do that every single week where we give each other a random word and talk for 30 seconds to a minute, try to hit about 45 seconds about that word. And that's a powerful exercise to improve our communication. But maybe there's something that you can do, a staple of your accountability call that you can do with your accountability partner, whether it be the random word exercise or some other exercise that you can just do over the phone that's quick and that strengthens a skill of yours. And then from there, we dive right into our goals. And one of us starts and gives out our goals, and we ask each other how we did on the specific goals that we had set for the previous week, and then we run down the results. That's really the next thing is we're honest about it. Honesty is so important in accountability, is just being totally honest. No, coach, I didn't make this goal. I totally flopped, or I came up a little bit short, or here's why. I just fell short on this week, or maybe I hit the goal. I exceeded the goal, and we can from there celebrate each other's wins and then also challenge each other when we fall short. And there's power in both of those, but it really only works when we're honest with one another.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, John. I think with the accountability, as you build that relationship, is then as the relationship gets stronger, certainly we want to celebrate the wins, but we can be a little bit harsher as a critic as well because we know
True.
we trust each other. And sometimes, that one of us slips and really didn't have a very good excuse. Sometimes we do have a pretty good excuse, but there's other times where we just didn't schedule it very well. And so then we can help remind each other. We're time blocking for both John and I is very important in our life. So, we'll encourage each other to what can you change for the following week so that you make sure your goals. Which leads me into as we get close to the end of our call, then we say, okay, the process is, John, what is your three? Sometimes we've had as many as four goals for the week you want to accomplish. And often one or two is pretty much the same. And then one of them tends to be a little bit different. But sometimes we'll make a complete change of all three or four, depending on what we got going in our lives. But the getting clarity of what you want to accomplish that week, and which leads into the last thing is, remember, John talked about is accountability, and that acronym is the fact that if you're going to have accountability, it's got to be scheduled. So the other thing we do is we make sure, okay, John, we're on for next Thursday at 3 o'clock. Yep, got it in our calendar. We're good to go, and we know who's going to be calling, and you could do it. Obviously in our podcast, we do it on Zoom, but for whatever reason, we do our accountability call as a phone call. But you decide what works best for you. As I mentioned, sometimes we've even done it through text because of a commitment. We just couldn't do the call. But once you really, that powerful word, accountability, then you got to make it a regular part of your life. So, John, I'll flip it back to you to put some closure to this.
Well, it's there's no really wrong way to do it. Like you said, we do it via phone call. Some people you might be really close to your accountability partner. You may be able to do it in person each week. Or via video chat, whatever it is. The important thing is to just get some consistency with it. Like you mentioned, coach, always schedule, and sometimes we'll schedule out, a month at a time, or just to make sure that we're good to go. But at the end of your call, always know when your next check-in point is, because then you really gain clarity, like coach said, about what you want to accomplish in how much time. Because it's easy to say, I want to accomplish this. Well, when? Well, if a goal, again, that SMART acronym for SMART goals, if it's not time bound, there's really not much accountability to it, because you can always, until the day you die, you can say that you're still doing it, right? So again, just to run down our quick schedule and a sample template for you, if you're looking for an accountability partner and want to do maybe a 30-minute call each week, you start casually, you getting to know each other. You dive into an agenda, some sort of, if you're doing other things together, make sure you're on the same page. You might do a fun activity, an activity to build one of your skills, and then you just discuss those 3 to 4 goals that you have each week and hold each other accountable. And you close by, again, listing your goals for the next week, and then making sure that you know when you're supposed to accomplish these goals by, and when you're going to talk to each other. Accountability is almost like homework for adults, right? It's which doesn't sound great, but at the same time, it really has been such a valuable part of my growth journey. And coach, I know you've said the same. It's valuable for you too. So I'm glad that we're doing it, and I think it's great, and it's something that you can also do to help you and also help somebody else and build a cool relationship with somebody. So any final thoughts on accountability calls, coach?
Well, I just, I would encourage it because, we really appreciate your listeners. And one of the things that I like to do is to text people links to podcasts,
Mm.
certainly our podcast, and I'll do it for others. So if you like what we're doing here, we'd really encourage you to, share it with someone else or a group of people. Very grateful, and certainly give us that 5-star review because that helps grow our audience. Because we want to help impact as many people as we can to help people be the best leaders they can be.
Well, I think, Coach, going off of that too, I got a great idea for the listener or YouTube viewer, and that is you likely clicked on this because you saw the word accountability and you thought, oh, maybe I could use an accountability partner. If there's someone in mind that you have that you think might be a good accountability partner, one great way to ask them would be to send this episode to them and to say, hey, I heard this episode, Coach and John were talking about accountability partners, and I think you might be a great accountability partner for me. This is, a little sample 30-minute segment that they ran down as far as we could do a weekly call. Whatever it is that you want to do, a great way to ask somebody would be to send them this episode and have them check it out too, and see what ideas. Again, you don't have to implement every idea that we have. It's just a guideline of something that might work, might help for you. And we certainly hope that our podcast in general, some of the guests that we bring on, Coach Renuma and I, are bringing value to you and your life and your personal growth journey as well. So thanks so much for listening to the Limitless Leadership Lounge. And next week, we'll dive in with another guest and keep things rolling into the month of April.